Jack Cristil.
So this crowd is on its feet. John Bond up underneath center. Bond handling the ball straight ahead. Everybody piles up on it. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Game's over. Bulldogs win 6-3. Alabama goes down in defeat to Mississippi State 6-3. Walters coming back to Darrell Wilson, screens. Darrell rolls left behind that screen, dishes it to Dampier low. Dampier double team, slams it in the goal with a Major League slam dunk.
Boy, that was in your face and in the goal, and not much.
Johnson will play it inbounds, and Johnson does give it to Sheffer for the long jumper that is an air ball. Cleared out by Allen. He's going to pump up along with that's an air ball. Whit Hughes has the rebound for Mississippi State. You can wrap it in maroon and white.
Well, the Bulldogs are going to be in the championship ball game of the Southeast Regionals. They beat the #1 seed UConn.
We had such great success in basketball and such excitement going to the Final Four. That's the greatest event that's ever happened for me as an individual. And to have an opportunity to work, with a Richard Williams who was unique in himself, obviously a great teacher of basketball and life itself. And Richard's a very deep thinker, and it's a pleasure being with him and to engage with him in conversation, and to have an opportunity to meet a Jackie Sherrill and see the staff he put together and the program he built. And you remember, when Coach Sherrill came to the campus at Mississippi State, we had not been in football consistent winners at all. And he said this university can be a winner.
So Levitt has teed up the ball. He's about ready to get this football game underway from Williams-Brice Stadium, and does indeed come forward on the ball and kick it right down the left hash mark. Now drifting to the left, Prentice has it at the 10, up the left side to the 20, to the 25, breaks to the 40, cuts back in, eludes a tackler down the sidelines, goes to the 30, to the 20, to the 10, no flags down, touchdown Mississippi State.
Boy, made a great move with a couple of defenders that looked like they had the angle. You could see the alley open. They really had opened up the lane on the near side of the field, and he went right up through the lane, made a nice little move, got around the defenders, and took it down the sidelines. Kevin Prentice, who had a punt return.
Lee Ford comes out over the ball in the wishbone set. The Bulldogs are in a 2 tight end formation. Robinson checking the 6'5", comes on the bootleg action, has running room toward the goal line in the corner, scores! Sleepy Robinson on the bootleg action runs over Chauncey Godwin and scores. Rapid in maroon and white. Bulldogs 24 at Ole Miss 9. This ball game is officially in the record book.
You notice it on those autumn Saturdays in Starkville when the scores reach the radio booth before they get to the public address announcer. That other school is trailing, and Jack reads the score, and all of a sudden a huge cheer wells up in the stadium. And the players on the field and along the sidelines stop and look around, mystified. What's going on? Are they cheering a huddle? But it's those tens of thousands of fans with tens of thousands of radios. All of those moms and dads and brothers and sisters who grew up believing, knowing that even if they're watching with their own eyes, until Jack Cristil tells them about it over the air, well, it doesn't really count, does it?
Clock running down. Carter plays it up. Ball game is over. Mississippi State is the Southeastern Conference co-champions with the LSU Tigers. Rep this championship in maroon and white in the Humphrey Coliseum. There's bedlam on the floor. The Bulldogs have defeated the LSU Tigers 76-73. You can wrap this one, my friend, in maroon and white. Mississippi State 17, Alabama 16, 10 seconds, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bingo! Mississippi State 17, Alabama 16. The 8th-ranked team in the country has just gone down to defeat, and goalposts are going down on both ends of the field. The student body coming down onto the field are going to rip those goalposts down. This is something that people have been waiting for a long, long time. Not since 1980 has Mississippi State defeated Alabama. They've done it here tonight. at Scott Field, 17-16. And as John Carrero pointed out, this is indeed a team maroon and white effort, offensively, defensively, special teams, and hats off to this coaching staff for an excellent, excellent game plan, well executed by the maroon and white. What a victory. Goalposts are coming down, if they can get them down. There goes the goalpost on the south end, goalpost on the north end coming down. Which one's going to be first? South end goalpost is first. Give credit to the guys on the south end. North end is down. Goalposts are down. Bulldogs defeat Alabama.
How lucky we are. How lucky we are that Jack's dad, who was from Latvia, met Jack's mom, who was from Russia, back in Memphis before World War I, when the 20th century was young and frisky.
Mama came over. She was a revolutionary, evidently. And this was in the days when the Tsar was in power in Russia. And she was a young girl in her teens, got involved with a group of revolutionaries, eventually became the Russian Revolution in 1917, but she was told one day she came home that the Tsar's troops were looking for her and that she had to get out of the area. And they began to run her through what we would call the underground. And she went across that part of Russia that she lived in the area of Minsk. And she was taken from one place to another across Poland and Germany, and left on some type of boat from Hamburg, Germany, that eventually docked in New York. Now, whether it was New York City or some other port, I do not know. And she came in as an illegal immigrant and made her way back down to New York, where she had family or relatives. And that may be the way she got to Clarksdale. I'm really not sure. But Daddy came in through Ellis Island. He was a legal immigrant. Came through Ellis Island. Yeah.
How lucky we are that those 6 children grew up in a household headed by parents who spoke Hebrew and Yiddish, but who declared that at home in America, only English would be spoken.
Now, both of my parents spoke Hebrew and both of my parents spoke Yiddish, but no foreign language was spoken. He said the children had to learn English because this is where they're going to live. And he would not permit a foreign language to be spoken. I regret that to this day, that I didn't have a chance to learn Russian, for example. But that was his method of rearing his children. And he was pretty stern. But after he got sick, Mama went to work and did her best to support 6 kids, you know. So, but we made it fine.
How lucky we are that Jack grew up on an immigrant street where sports translated into a universal language, in a town big enough that you could pick up those great voices, Bill Stern, Graham McNamee, telling the stories of those great games played by those great athletes on the radio. How lucky we are that Jack knew by the 1st grade what he wanted to do with the rest of his life. He wanted to be the guy at the game telling the story to everyone who wasn't at the game.
I was born in 1925, so this has got to be in the early 30s. And we got a radio in the house, and I was fascinated with it. The very idea you could turn this thing on and people could talk to you. And in those days, of course, they had no local radio stations to speak of, so you'd get KMOX in St. Louis or KDKA in Pittsburgh or whatever it was, WJR in Detroit, these types of things. A lot of static, but you could hear. And I heard the Ted Husings and the Bill Sterns and the Graham McNamees and the Don Dumphys do sporting events. And I was absolutely just fascinated with them, and made the determination then. That's the thing I wanted to do.
How lucky we are that he'd been that little boy, the one leaning toward the radio, straining to hear every word through the darkness and the static, falling in love with the wonder of football and baseball, the mystery of the radio, the magic, how a fellow at Sportsman's Park in St. Louis could play a child's heartstrings like a violin. how lucky we are that he wanted to be the one to take us to the magic places and tell us about magical heroes.
Ice will work against pressure now, and Bart begins to dribble it and move it around, and Cincinnati's not going to chase him. This basketball game is over. Mississippi State's on the way to the Final Four with a 10-point win over the Cincinnati Bearcats, and their Bulldogs all in the center of Rupp Arena, hugging one another, and double off the floor. A little bit of all of it.
Who's going to win? Arkansas, Mississippi State. Pass back is good. Kick is away. Bulldogs on top, 22-21. Mississippi State 22. Arkansas 21. Hazelwood kicks it through the uprights. Great blocking on the play. The crowd is already heading onto the field to tear down the goalpost, but there's 7 seconds left in the game.
You can keep game statistics off his call. That's the test. Every play, every quarter, every game, season stacked upon season for 5 decades, football and basketball. You can be that little boy in that room, armed with a radio and a pencil and a notebook, and you could know everything because Jack Cristil told you everything. Score, time, down, distance, formation, which hash mark, which running backs in the game, tight end or 3 wides. Everything, every time. 4-yard gain, 2nd and 6, Auburn 38-yard line, down 17-14, 22 seconds left, 10 more yards to field goal range. John Bond calls the signals. Victory? We can smell it.
Well, will the Bulldogs try to put it deep in the end zone? Will they stay on the ground? They're trailing 17-14. They're in field goal range right now. John Bond wants to throw and looks to the end zone and throws. Touchdown, Mississippi State! Touchdown, Danny Knight! John Bond drilled it in with exactly a minute to go. Mississippi State hits 2 big plays. Danny Knight on the receiving end of the touchdown pass.
He's been lucky too, you know. Great parents, the GI Bill to go to radio school on, and most of all, dear Mavis. She was his for 33 years. And the girls, Kay and Rebecca, and the grandchildren, Jake, who's 9, and Lindsay, almost 3, the kind of girl who can twist a grandfather like a rubber band with just a glance and a wink. And of course, Mississippi State. After the war and after school, he did Class D baseball in Jackson, Tennessee, and couldn't believe that he woke up every day and went to the ball game and they paid him real money to do it. Then half a century ago, Dudy Noble hired him to do Mississippi State football. Keep it simple, the old coach advised. Score, down, distance. Best advice I ever had, Jack says. For 50 years, he's had us and we've had him, and there's nothing in all of American sports quite like it. The first Mississippi State football game he saw, he broadcast. Murray Warmoth was the coach. We won.
The second game we played was a road trip to Knoxville, Tennessee. And I remember that game, Mississippi State won it 26-0. Zirk Wilson played on the team. I remember Zirk because I had met him and later became very, very dear friends with Zirk Wilson. But Jackie Parker was playing, among others. And we defeated Tennessee 26-0 that day, which at that time, and that was their opening game, by the way. They had not played a game. Was the worst opening day defeat a Tennessee team had ever suffered. And I didn't know that at the time, and was later told that. But that game I remember very vividly, and I always thought for a long time that was the first game I ever did, but it was the second.
We're tied at 28. We're awaiting the snapback. It's good. The ball is down. The kick is up. It's long enough. It is high enough. It is good. Good. A 54-yard field goal. It is good. A 54-yard field goal. No time on the clock. Mississippi State has won the ball game 31-28.
Well, he got all of it, too.
He got every bit of it, and they are mobbing Artie Cosby in the center of the football field.
We've been winning ever since. From his microphone to our radios, From his voice to our hearts, he made us fall in love with sports, with Mississippi State, with that voice that's brought light into all those bedrooms where fathers and sons and mothers and daughters lean toward that radio praying. Please, God.
Around the Graves again. Graves holding that ball up high. Passes back off to Jerry Keith into Bailey Howell at the top of the circle. Howell, set shot from the outside. Good. On the top of the circle for two. Felker gets the block. Felker to the goal line. He got it! He got it! Felker into the end zone. He got the 2-point conversion.
Forcade is back to throw on 4th and 5. Under pressure, being chased, gets away from another man. Looking, being chased, hit, corralled, dropped, back at the 26-yard line. Bulldogs defense, led by Billy Jackson. Stack up John Forcade all the way back at the 26-yard line. Clock is running out. This ball game is over. You can wrap it in maroon and white. Mississippi State Bulldogs are the champions of the Southeastern Conference, beating the Kentucky Wildcats 84-73, an 11-point win. And this ball game is over. Wrap it in maroon and white.